Hi, Colin.
How you doing?
So on the website, your name is how do none of us have known how to pronounce it.
It's Xolin.
Xolin, spelled
It's Colin, but with an X instead.
oh,
Yeah.
nice.
And so it's actually kind of a funny story. The way I came up with it was I was actually typing on the computer once, like playing a game or something. You know how you enter the high score? And on the keypad, the C is right next to the X. And I actually pressed X incorrectly. And I looked at it, it's like, well, that's kind of cool. Just kind of stuck with me.
So at what point did you start using it for music stuff?
Well, I guess it would have to be back in 2002 when I made my first album, called Chiano Lake, with the word Chiano. I mean, as you'll tell pretty soon, I have a thing for making up words. Chiano is actually a combination of cello and piano, two of instruments that I play. And since I made my first album back then, I said, well, I need a name for myself, and so I just chose Alan.
So with piano and cello, do you do a lot of acoustic stuff then? I think of those as acoustic.
Right. Well, I've been classically trained to both cello and piano. I started piano when I was 6, and then I started cello when I was 11, and I'm 20 now. But most of the music I make now is heavily electronic. It's you can actually define it as like trip hop, which would be kind of ambient sounds with drum machine beat. But I have incorporated a lot of piano and cello into my work as well.
So when you say you're classically trained, what goes into that? When you were 6, you start out with Three Blind Mice like the rest of us, right?
Yeah, more or less.
But
yeah.
instead of throwing a tantrum and quitting after 2 years like the rest of us,
right,
you kept going.
Yeah. As far as classical training goes, I wasn't big on practicing. You know, it just kind of seemed like a pain to, you have to practice like half hour every day. But and I think that's part of what kind of drove me to create my own music, because I don't mind playing Bach or Beethoven or Schubert or anybody like that. It's just I enjoy it so much more if I can produce my own stuff, and I don't have to worry about somebody saying, "Oh no, you have to play it this way." So it's a lot easier for me to be creative and just express myself in a different way.
So how old were you when you started playing like Beethoven and Mozart and those sorts of let me ask it this way.
Yeah.
Did you go straight from Three Blind Mice to that kind of stuff, or what do you learn in between?
I was kind of weaned into it. I mean, I started with really basic stuff when I was 6, and actually, when we were learning kind of low key, really main stuff with my piano teacher, I back then had the desire to write my own stuff, and so something like really simple. But I've always had the desire to write my own music, and until 2002, when I was 15, I was kind of frustrated because there's no real way to kind of show anybody what I made. And so once I was able to get a computer and software and produce an album to send to my family for Christmas, that was just kind of like, that's it. Finally, I felt so relieved that I could put it all together and give it to somebody and say, look at what I can do.
How did you record it?
The very first album was extremely low key. I had a Dell laptop, and I don't know if you guys know the program Music Match. It's an old kind of Dell program, but all I did was I had a Casio keyboard too, which I still have and use. But what I did was I would make songs, record it with the recording part on the keyboard, and literally do a line into my computer. And
Which, for people who don't know it, that just means you plug a cable from the Casio?
I take the output, the sound out from the keyboard, and couple it with a wire that goes into the input mic, or the port, which would also be like the microphone for a computer. And I just hit record on Music Match, and it came out in mono the way it was set up, but that was like the closest I could get at the time, and I made the whole album from that. So it was extremely low key. I didn't have like Pro Tools or anything like that, but I mean, as my music and love of this music continued, I have increased my my hardware and software, so I have kind of a mini studio at home.
So we're talking to Xolin?
Xolin.
Xolin, because it rhymes with Colin.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just with the X.
Yeah.
Exactly. You said you started playing piano when you were 6.
Yeah.
Was it your idea?
No, it was actually my parents' idea. I mean, when you're 6, you know, most 6-year-olds don't want to do much more than, you know, watch TV or play outside. So, but I've been very fortunate to having not only my whole family, but especially my parents, who are very, very supportive of the arts. And you know, I was never really into sports. Granted, I did do some sports intermittently, you know, in 3rd grade or whatever, but most of it was just music.
How much did you play, like when you were 6, 7, and 8? How long would you play every day?
I'd probably play maybe a half hour every other day.
Oh, okay. So like a normal kid.
Yeah.
I mean, did at some point did you start practicing more than that?
Well, like I mentioned before, it's just kind of like I, like a lot of other people, it kind of felt like an effort to make it for me to practice every single day. And you know, as you get older, it's harder and harder to manage your time, especially with school and high school and things like that. But I think the important thing is that my love of music never died, and I'm glad that I still have it, and that my parents gave it to me, because now I'm doing something that I really love.
How did you add the cello?
The way our middle school program was set up was that you had to
play the cello.
No, you didn't have to necessarily play the cello, but you had to do some kind of musical instrument. And so in 5th grade, right before middle school, there was one day when we had to go in and kind of test out some instruments and see which one we liked. And I chose the cello partly because my mom had played cello in high school too.
Couldn't you have said piano?
No, not necessarily, because you couldn't really do piano in a middle school orchestra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
it was all strings and horns and
strings
stuff?
and horns or percussion.
Yeah.
But I just kind of went with cello mostly because my mom kind of already had her foot in the door with that one.
So we've got a few of your songs here with us, and the first one we're going to hear is Sandcastle.
Sandcastle, yeah.
Anything you'd like to tell us about it?
This is from my 5th album. You've
made 5 albums?
I've made 5 albums.
Dude, you're 20.
Yeah, but I made it kind of as an annual project. When my first one came out in December of 2002, I used it as a present for all my family. The next year, 2003, it came out with Montan's Way. After that was Conformist in 2004, and then I actually had 2 in 2005. Was Hyperchronic Stillness, which came out in May, which was around the time when I graduated from high school, and then later that December in 2005, I made In the Wake of Fever, and I'm having a 6th album coming out this summer. And it feels kind of strange for me because, you know, I had made it an annual thing, but this will be the first one in like 3 years. So I feel like there's a lot of stuff that I still have to put out there, but it's going to come.
So cool. So how did you make it?
This song?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is Sandcastle from In the Wake of Fever. And this, made in 2005. And by that time, I had a number of different like kinds of equipment, kind of professional audio. Basically, how I made it was I used a drum machine. If you listen closely, it's actually the same beat the entire time, and that's what gives it its soothing quality. And I've gotten a lot of response from this saying that it's very mellow, very relaxing, and I think I might have maybe just 4 or 5 instruments tracks, and this is completely electronic too. So
when you say that, that means that if there's a cello sound or something, you don't have a bow and a cello.
Right. It's all pre-processed sound from my software, and I use a program called Reason to make the drums, and then I just kind of layer that with other sounds, and I dub myself. I mean, I'm the only person in this band, if you will. So I make all my own stuff. I dub myself. I do the artwork, I do the photography, which is really what I love. I mean, it's a lot of hard work, but I love doing it.
You like putting together the whole thing?
Yeah.
Have you done any live performance? Would you have the means?
There was this one time I kind of did a live performance. It was like we kind of had an underground part to our school at high school, and there's this one where I just kind of did I took my keyboard and I played one of my songs called Ice or Icicle, which I don't think is on here, but it was fine, and it was like a lot different than what I'd done before. But that's just kind of a disadvantage with the kind of music I'm doing, is that it's not exactly performable. And I guess if I tried to perform it, the thing I'm afraid of is that I might look little more than just somebody singing along like a karaoke machine, because I have all this processed sound.
So this is you playing cello?
Yeah, and this one, it's called the Metal Gate, and actually this version that was just playing, I recently kind of beefed up a little bit. I made it sound a little better. The original version was back in Montagn's Way in 2003.
So the one that we're hearing is so far it's just like a bare cello, right?
Yeah, and that's what the original was too. It's just this one I added some reverb with my software.
Oh.
The original on Montagn's Way was actually 3 movements. It was something that I had written classically, writing, because I can obviously read music, and so I wrote it down on a note staff and everything.
So you know how to write the notes?
Yeah.
If you look at something that's written down, do you know how it would sound?
To a certain extent, yeah. Like, I mean, if you have, I don't know, a 20-piece orchestra, it might be a little harder for me. But if I look at a cello piece or a piano, I can usually, I can definitely know the tempo of it.
What are you saying with that cello? What is that? If that cello was talking, what was it saying?
I guess if you had to put a story behind it, the reason it's called the Metal Gate was I was actually trying to tell a story of the simple action of somebody approaching the gate, opening it, and passing through. And those were actually the names of the three movements. The first one was called Approach. That was a longer one. The second one was Open, which lasted maybe 15 seconds. And it's not on this recording, but in the original, it was just me scratching the strings, really, above the bridge of the cello, which makes a really kind of annoying high squeaking sound. I was like, that kind of sounds like a metal gate. So, and then the third one is Pass, and it kind of gives an ominous feeling like whatever this person is going into, they can't really turn away from it. And so it kind of has a darker, I guess I kind of imagine a gate like at night and at like a graveyard or something.
What part are we listening to now? Is this Approach or Pass?
I think it would be, it was probably Pass that we were just listening to right now.
I hope so, because if it gets worse after, like if this is Approach and then it gets scarier.
Yeah. No.
Let's hear a little more.
Okay.
Now it sounds to me like the person is realizing that they're never getting out.
Yeah,
it started to get sad.
So the part before that that was the ending of Approach, and so after that was the opening of the gate, and then it was kind of that part we were just listening to, was Pass, and it was just kind of somebody realizing, maybe like looking around or something, and then as we listen to it more, it's going to return to that kind of bum 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 kind of scary feeling again. And
because when you mention a graveyard and you talk about this as a metal gate and passing through, the sound just now was like the feeling you'd get if you passed through a graveyard and you realized like that was where you're going to be living from now on. You know, like
that's definitely a valid interpretation. Yeah.
Yeah, Nevaz had the image of the people busting up out of the ground. You know, your new neighbors, meet the neighbors.
Right.
You know, I gotta say, you know what I like, and this is just me. You know what I like about this? It sounds kind of hip hop.
Yeah.
When I start listening to it, I'm like, man, I've thrown a beat on here.
Mm-hmm.
I can get somebody to rap on there. That would sound awesome.
Yeah.
You know.
I was kind of looking at it from kind of a soundtrack point of view, because I'm really into kind of audio for visual, and when I watch a movie, especially things like Saw or something, Charlie Clouser, I really love that kind of scary orchestral electronic music. And I mean I don't want to give listeners the wrong impression. I mean I'm not a morbid person. You know, it's not like I'm worshiping the devil or anything like that. It's just I'm very expressive with my music, and you know, everybody has dark feelings sometimes, and people are free to interpret it as however they want.
say, don't you dare think you're something worthy. You're just another slave to bore me. Why should I care about your opinions? They won't change anything or devoid of minions. Be happy and caring, be loving and daring. Don't be guilty or hateful. Don't be selfish or spiteful. Be grateful and righteous, ideal and gracious. Don't be difficult or different, rebellious or impatient. Sit upright, stop fussing. Be obedient, no cussing. Wipe that smoke off your long and ugly face. Pay attention, you just lost the case. There's no reason, stop and think about it. Withdraw your feelings, you know I'll never quit. For the last time, stop your talking. You have to fess up, destroy the stalking. Human beings only think that they have a savior. They cross the zero flat. What they don't know is their logic doesn't flow with my painful ruling state. Don't make me apologize. Serves you right since you forgot how to be wise. You're my last nerve, gnawing steadily. I don't care whether you're not ready. Be happy and caring, be loving and daring. Don't be guilty or hateful. Don't be selfish or spiteful. Be grateful and righteous, ideal and gracious. Don't be difficult or different, rebellious or impatient.
I'm so confused. Something is just out of reach. This something may or may not be nirvana, but I want to always do my best. It always seems better on the other side, but never is. Taking everything except the flaws in society and life. Laugh at them, smile. Selfish or spiteful, be grateful and righteous, ideal and gracious. Don't be difficult or different, rebellious or impatient. Be happy and caring, be loving and daring. Don't be guilty or hateful. Don't be selfish or spiteful. Be grateful and righteous, ideal and gracious. Don't be difficult or different, rebellious or impatient.
Okay. Before we continue, I promised a friend, actually my assistant manager at CVS where I work part-time. Mike, if you're listening, just want to say hi. How you doing? And hope everything's well. And I also just want to say hi to my friends and family who hopefully are listening, Mom, Dad, Ryan, Marielle. So.
Awesome.
Right.
Awesome. You know how many times I've been at a place and I forget to thank people for listening and stuff. Yeah. I'm just like, yeah, it's all about me.
No way.
No word.
Yeah.
And we just heard Unfinished Business. Is
yeah.
that right?
Yep. That was from my third album, Conformist. And that was one of my first vocal tracks, and I was kind of experimenting, tried to do like a little kind of rap kind of thing. I mean, I'm not any kind of rapper or anything, but I was just trying to add some beat to it, and I wrote it with the thought of kind of, I don't want to sound emo here, but kind of looking at, as if I was talking. The vocals were like from a society's point of view. So, like, if society had one voice, this is kind of like what it would be saying to all its quote-unquote followers, everybody on Earth. Kind of like, be happy, be caring, don't cry, I don't care what you think, I have this one set of rules. And so I was just kind of trying to express how there's some things that society has that really frustrate people, and you can't really do anything about it. So I was just trying to give it a voice and seeing what it would say.
And did you do all the instruments there as well and the vocals?
Yep, that was completely electronic, and that again I use Reason for the drum machine, and just a lot of heavy electronic process sound.
And it seems like all the songs that you're making them by yourself, on Reason and stuff. Mm-hmm. Is that a choice? Or you're like, I want to do stuff all by myself, or is it, have you ever thought about working with other people?
It's actually kind of interesting because that's kind of why what I'm doing now, like how they came to being. When I was younger, early middle school, I really try with my friends because I wanted to get like a rock band together, a traditional rock band. I'd be the keyboardist and I have a bass, drummer, guitarist, vocal, whatever. And I don't know if it was just me or just the scheduling, but it never really happened. And so it kind of forced me into just kind of, it's so easy to be on a computer with headphones, and especially since you can't bother anybody because only you're listening to it. And I just kind of said, okay, well, I'll do this, and I have complete control over it, and I can do whatever I want. So,
yeah, that seems to happen a lot. Like kids try to, put their friends together and do something, and then nobody else follows through, man. And you're like, oh man, I really want to do this, and you end up doing it by yourself,
Yeah.
This is Cosmosis.
Cosmosis, which, if my memory serves me, that's actually from Conformist as well.
Okay.
So the same album as Unfinished Business.
And I was getting like a detective, like in the fog, on a different planet.
Yeah, and it's a very spacey kind of song, and actually near the end, one of my favorite parts is I have a lone piano come in, and it's just a very spooky feeling, but it's something that you might expect from a movie, which if you listen to a lot of my stuff, I mean, I try to be very varied with what I'm writing, so it's not like the same stuff over and over again, but I do kind of have a tendency to write in this soundscape kind of way and give this, sometimes unearthly atmospheric feeling.
Do you ever feel kind of this way when you're working at CVS?
Yeah, have you ever seen those back rooms? Yeah, no. Those are really creepy.
I don't know if you work there late at night, but it has that kind of a space. All those big box stores, when you go there late at night, have this sort of
probably more so at the 24-hour stores, but mine closes at 9. So
you don't even live in that part. All right, well, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, no. Thank you for having me. I mean, this is amazing. I've never had this opportunity before. And I just want to, just take a moment to Just let people know that if anybody's
where
listening,
can we find your stuff?
I do have my own website. It's xolinmedia.com.
And just in case anybody missed it, how would you spell Xolin?
It would be XOLIN.
Okay.
And then media, media.com is all one word.
Cool.
And I have my stuff on cdbaby.com. And actually, if you have iTunes and you're connected to the internet, just type in Xolin, XOLIN, and all my 5 albums will come up. So
cool. So that's how iTunes works now, is you can buy stuff directly from them.
Exactly.
Do you have to, in order to have your stuff on iTunes, do you have to be selected or pay them money, or will they just stock whatever you send them?
Well, actually, I didn't. The nice thing about that was I have most of my stuff is done through cdbaby.com, and they take care of that for you. They take care of digital distribution. And so actually my stuff's available on like 50 different online companies, but one of which is iTunes. So I just pay them a digital distribution fee, and they take care of it for me. And
so CD Baby's like the front door. You go
Yep.
through CD Baby, you
Yep.
set yourself up with them, and then they set it up in all the other places.
they're kind of like my agent in a sense.
Right.
Yeah, my digital agent.
Cool,
So,
man.